In 2005, Teresa Ging was 6 years into a high powered career as a financial analyst working at Wall Street firms like Credit Suisse. But she'd grown despondent by the glass ceiling inequities she faced as a woman of color in the financial sector. So Teresa did something radical. She quit her job to follow her baking muse all the way to Paris, enrolling in Le Cordon Bleu's patisserie program. 2 years later, Teresa launched Sugar Bliss, a cupcake catering business, and in 2009, she opened a Sugar Bliss bakery in downtown Chicago. This year, Sugar Bliss made the big leap into national retail with the launch of a cookie line in 40 Walgreens stores selling flavors like sea salt chocolate chunk, which sounds delicious. I'm so pleased to welcome Teresa, who will share how she's funded and scaled Sugar Bliss by leveraging the standing as a certified woman and minority owned business and by tapping her own background as a financial analyst, too. Welcome, Teresa. I'm really happy to have you here.
Thanks a lot for having me.
So you have a great story, and it's fascinating the leap you made. So in 2005, you were working as an equity research analyst, right?
Correct.
And you were passed up for a promotion. Uh,
Right.
I'm curious if you could just share how that disappointment led to the launch of Sugar Bliss.
Yeah. So I had been in finance for about 6 years, did investment banking, private equity, equity research, and I enjoyed being in finance. It's just, the politics of everything. But I was up for promotion, and that day I found out that I was not promoted and that there were other women in my class that were not promoted as well. And when I found out the news, a friend of mine, I was visiting in the New York office, and she was making cupcakes that day, and she was just sifting powdered sugar, and just kind of that repetitive motion of maybe just like snowflakes, dust, powdered dust, or coming, that it kind of was my aha moment. And so I left. I was which is kind of funny because I always think about like that was my light bulb moment. So I went back to Chicago. I bought a bunch of cupcake books and started researching how to make cupcakes because I'd never baked before. And, I was like, I think I kind of need a break from finance. So I left the industry, enrolled into pastry school, and then headed off to Paris for a couple months just to learn how to bake.
Wow. Uh, I'm curious about just to demystify and unpack that next leap, right? In terms of uh, grounding the business, launching the business, and then funding it. Uh, when you launched the business in 2007, right? How did you fund it? And what did you learn from that journey about what it takes to successfully finance a new company?
Yeah, so at the time I was looking at a real lease, and I needed to build out the space, and so I did a business plan, and I figured out how much money I needed, and so I went to an organization in Chicago called the Women's Business Development Center. You can't just go into the bank and say, I need $200,000 to build a cupcake store, even if you have long-term relationships with that bank. So what's great with the WBDC is that they formulate a loan package that has like your, personal financial statements, your credit score, and all that stuff, and they present it, help you present it to three different banks. So I went to three different banks, and I got two out of the three loans. And I'm not sure if I told you this beforehand, but one of the banks I actually got declined, and I was like, why did I get declined versus the other two banks accepted? And she said to me, she's like, you're just too young to open a business and you don't have a secondary income. And so that was kind of my second moment of just kind of hitting the glass ceiling. And I was just like, well, that's not a criteria. Did you look at my personal financial statements? Did you look at like my business plan? No. So I ended up calling the bank and finding out her manager. And I said, I'm looking for a bank to help me open one Sugar Bliss or 100 Sugar Bliss. And the very next day, I got the loan for that bank. But I ended up going with another bank that kind of treated me right from the very beginning. But yeah, I mean, I basically went the loan route versus the investor route. I guess kind of that saying, like too many cooks in the kitchen. I just kind of rather go on the banking route where, I just pay my interest and principal every month.
And that's interesting how you didn't accept that answer. So that's a lesson.
Yeah.
You went to the manager and then ended up getting that loan, right?
Yep. Yep.
That's a great teaching moment, not to just accept that, that answer, an answer at face value. To look into a little bit, your background is rich in terms of not everybody who's starting a business or a startup is going to have that financial grounding. I'm curious about in terms of how that played into growth, launch, scaling. How did your skills as a financial analyst, I mean, you're covering the actual sector that you're leading now, right? So consumer packaged goods, right, as well as the food service industry. How did that contribute, to Sugar Bliss's success, first of all? And then what are the actionable insights from that financial know-how that other small businesses can leverage? I just want to say, I remember you saying when we spoke that, quote, you understand numbers and you have higher margins than most bakeries. And what company doesn't want higher profit margins? So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know from, I went to University of Chicago. I was an econ stat major. University of Chicago is not a very easy school, and I had a strong work ethic. And then given I did investment banking where I was working like 80 to 90 hours a week and crunching numbers, like I think given the, academic and work background that I was in right when I was graduating from college, made me have a strong work ethic. And so I think that really helps with like running a business. Like, yes, you have employees, but like, last night I was up until midnight decorating hundreds of cookies for the holiday packages. It's just like, it's our crunch time now. So, having that work ethic, again, financial analysis, like when I went to the bank, and it was funny, I just met with one of my original bankers. She had switched to a different bank, and she still remembers my business plan. And she said it was like such a great business plan. And the funny thing is like I mimicked my business plan like a pitch book when I did investment banking, competitive analysis, like, the financial models and all that stuff, organizational structure. So I basically took what I learned in finance and made it into a business plan for my business. I definitely think, knowing numbers, like as entrepreneurs, we are passionate about what we do. And for me, I mean, yes, I'm passionate about, the bakery and stuff, but it's all about making money, right? So I think with my background in finance, I was able to figure out, okay, what do we need to charge? What are our costs? What do we really need to know on the bottom line? And then I know we talked about this, like, not every industry or business you're going to have like another competitor, public competitor that you can look at their financials and be like, okay, are we similar? I mean, even if, there was another cupcake place out there, which there was at one point, there was a Crumbs Cupcakes. They went public, I think, in the 2000. And, I definitely looked in their annual report, their 10K, and looked at like their numbers, their financials, how much they were spending on rent and their margins and stuff like that, and was like, oh, we're actually doing better than them. I mean, I understand they're a public company, and they probably have a lot more overhead, but I mean, those are really great resources as a small business to look at, how you compare, and it's almost like kind of like a research report, free research report.
Absolutely. And I think that that's really good information because I don't know that, that new businesses necessarily or startups are looking at it almost from a trade publication. I think we
Yeah.
talked about that. Studying other companies, there's a lot of public information out there about your industry, to your point, as well as market trends. I
Mhm.
think we talked about, and
Yeah.
that
Yeah, I mean, there was when I was first started, there was a blog called I think Cupcakes Take the Cake or something like that, and they had every single cupcake competitor on there. And I went and looked at their websites, and found out which websites I liked, what offerings and stuff like that. So, I mean, now there's Instagram and Facebook and all those that you can see all the competitors. So, looking at hashtag, I think we follow hashtag Cupcake, or hashtag Chicago desserts and stuff like that, so that we see things on our feed. A couple years ago, hot chocolate bombs were kind of the trend, and they still are. But I mean, we did thousands of hot chocolate bombs and stuff like that. So we're always looking at like trends, and it's great to follow like social media, TikTok and stuff like that. Even if you don't do TikTok, you follow them and you see the trends.
Absolutely. Trends and then literally data, competitive analysis on an industry that you're in,
Yes.
even if you don't have a direct competitor. I'm curious about, you said that you had that had you known what you know today, you would from day one have gotten Sugar Bliss certified as both a minority owned business and a woman owned business. First, how did you get certified? And also, how have these certifications benefited your business?
Yeah, so when I first, obviously you get your business license and then you're like, okay, running your business, and then you hear like certification. And the thing is like I knew about the WBDC from the very beginning when I started, and I knew they had certification. But somehow I thought certification was just doing government contracts. I didn't realize it was like doing with corporations. And so I ended up getting certified like 10 years after I started. And I mean, again, it's like I wish I had gotten certified very beginning. It's not that costly. I think it's like under $500 for each certification. I mean, it depends on your sales and stuff like that, but I think it's around $500 to $1,000 a year. So the certification, there is the NMSDC, which is the national chapter, and then the Chicago MSDC, which is they basically kind of is where I mean, each region has their own like regional partner, and so the Chicago one is our regional partner, and so we do a lot of they do like a lot of events, and like earlier this year they had an event with United Airlines, and it's hard to get in. The buyer. You can try to even find the buyer, you can find the supplier diversity, but when they have these like event, it's great so you can meet the supplier diversity and the buyer at the same time to get your product in front of them. Also, with being a woman owned, I also can be women certified. So there's the We Bank, which is the national chapter, and then the WBDC, which is the Chicago chapter. And I'm in both, all four organizations. I'm on their newsletters, so I get to see like what um, events they're putting on, what what kind of thing, events, grants, things like grants as well. I've gotten a lot of grants because I was on their newsletter, so it's been very beneficial for us. And now, like with the Walgreens and the bakery, like our brochures, we put women and minority owned, and so with the Walgreens launch, we wanted to like distinguish ourselves. Like we're just not just cookies. We want to be. We have obviously like premium quality cookies like a sea salt chocolate chunk or a rainbow sugar or OMG, which has Captain Crunch potato chips pretzels, which you say oh my god, but in the front of our packaging has women and minority owned, and on the back it has women and minority certification. So we want to identify with customers that see it like a like they're understand like a social mission brand, and then 10% of our proceeds go back to support women and minority entrepreneurs. So you know going out to retailers, like they're always asking you like what differentiate yourself. And also like a lot of these retailers are trying to figure out doing more business with the diverse and women owned. So it's a great time to be certified. And also with corporations. I mean, we do a lot of businesses with like Chase and Kirkland and Ellis, and they have like they want to spend money with women and minority owned. And so it's great that they ask for our certifications, and so it's not just being women and minority owned; it's also being certified. It's given us a lot of opportunities out there, including like we're hoping to be in more retailers next year, including Kroger and maybe on the airlines as well.
So this is critical. So in terms of national certification, the takeaway, and then local certification, right, has been critical.
So it's all national, but you go through
Okay,
the regional partners. They actually kind of go through the certification process, but you are nationally certified.
got it. So let's pull the curtain back a little bit on how you broke into big retail. So Sugar Bliss. has launched a cookie line. Congratulations! This year in 40 Walgreens stores in the Chicago market. How did you do that?
Yeah, so again, being certified, the WBDC has a great program that they put every year called Top Shelf, and it was sponsored by Walgreens. And so I basically looked into it, seeing, how do I learn to be into mass retailers? I didn't even have a product at the point. Like, we obviously sell cookies in the store, but we didn't have anything shelf stable or packaged. And so it's such great that the WBC put this program together. It was an 8-week program just to learn about how to be in mass retailers. And then you also pitch to other retailers. So there was like Peapod, True Value, and Walgreens. And even before the pitch, I was able to connect with the buyer. She actually reached out to me and was said, we have cookies at the store. Do you have something packaged? And I was like, we're working on it, but we don't have it completely done. And so she was great that she worked with us the last year because we had to, finalize the packaging and get our facility GMP certified, which is good manufacturing practice. And so it took us about a year to onboard and get everything done. And then we finally launched. But I probably would never have gotten that opportunity had I not been certified or know about the Women's Business Development Center. So I'm grateful for that opportunity.
That's huge. Connecting with big retail via certification, essentially, right? And
Yeah,
having getting the
yeah,
exposure.
yeah.
So what's the takeaway in terms of if you have a insider tip or strategy for other startups, companies that want businesses that are interested in landing partnerships with big companies that they could know that they you could offer that could so they can make that big leap. What would that be?
I hate to like say it over and over again, but I definitely think being women and minority certified, if you can do both, that's great. Or one or the other depends. You have to have 51% of your business be women or minority. So it is a little tricky. The process is, it's you have all the documents. It's just like you have to spend a couple of days like uploading and stuff. And so I think sometimes people look at that process and feel like it's very daunting and then just like, oh, never mind. But honestly, once you get certified, the renewal process is super easy. But the opportunities, if you want to do business with, government, if you want to do business with corporations, they are looking at, how to do more business with minority and women owned. So it's a great time to get certified right now. So I would definitely, if I was to tell myself 10 years ago, I would definitely do that. And also, like, once you get certified, it's not that the business starts coming in like, you have to actually go on and put yourself on the supplier diversity portals, so that they know when they have an RFP, like, oh, they're doing a big event.
It's like,
And
a request for proposal for our audience,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure you put yourself on the portal, and then you also have to be really patient and like, just kind of keep at it. You go attend events. Like, there was an event that's coming up with the Hilton, and so I'll attend it on a webinar and hopefully get to talk to the buyer then. So you have to be proactive with your certification as well.
So be proactive with it. Be giving you it's work, but it gives you an incredible platform to big business, right, and to even government partnerships. Your biggest growth opportunity, and we can go on for 2023, and why?
Yeah, so it is just to continue to expand into more retailers. Hopefully we will expand into 300 more Walgreens next year. Also add Kroger as well, and then we are talking to airlines and a food service company that also has products in sports arenas, hotels. Yeah, hospitals and hotels. So we're hoping that we're going to be a national brand, and that you'll see Sugar Bliss everywhere.
Fascinating. So a diversified retail hospitality strategy, distribution strategy. What's one success strategy that you can share with other entrepreneurs, small businesses, startups looking to grow scale?
I would definitely say, listen to your customers. When I started Sugar Bliss, we had only cupcakes. We had 20 plus flavors. And, over the years, we've adapted, and, listened to our customers, added cake pops, French macaroons, cookies, brownies. We have a vegan and gluten-free options as well. So, listening to your customers and seeing what, trends and stuff like that. So, I think that has been really important for us to grow as a company. And now we even do like different packages. I wish we had done packages back then, but they're really great. We have a holiday package that has like 2 cookies, 2 macaroons, 2 cake pops, and so they're really easy for like shipping and stuff like that. So listening to your customers and seeing what the trends are and what they're interested in, I would, definitely as a success for, growing your business.
That's great advice. This has been terrific. Thank you so much. I so enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa.